Hi, it's Anne. Thanks for stopping by. So I'm working on, this is my second sewing journal, and I wonder what you think of this journal card. I thought it was so cute with the dress, and I put some machine stitching around. And I just am rather enchanted with it, and I think it's nice. It fits in nicely with the sewing theme. I made it out of tissue paper, and there's a lot of folded paper dress embellishment designs out there on Instagram and Pinterest and YouTube and all of the places that we like to haunt for our inspiration as junk journalers. I found a way to do it. I think it's really easy. I have this one, and I have this one. I think I maybe went a little crazy with the additional stamping here, but this one's made out of doilies, and I thought this was cute. It's very similar in idea, and also used the dressmaking theme in this pocket. I don't think we're going to do this today, but I'll show it to you anyway. And where's that other pocket that I had? This one here. I thought that was a really cute pocket that looked like a dress bodice. But we're going to focus on these folded paper journal cards today and making the dresses for them. And they're so easy. I mean, they seriously are seriously easy. So let's do the doily one first, and then we'll do the folded tissue paper one. I'd love to make another one actually just like this. So let's just have fun kind of with our dressmaking. I have a lot of doilies. I find that, I find them in partial packages at so many different places. And, the size doesn't really matter. I'm going to fold one doily to be the skirt, and I'm going to use another one. You can see I did some some punching out of this one. There's no magic to the fact that this is heart-shaped. I just wanted the background because I thought the pink and the white was sort of a nice contrast there. But they can certainly be all one color as well. So I have my doilies, and then I have a heart stamp. I keep saying stamp, I'm sorry. I have a heart-shaped paper punch. This is a Stampin' Up. I have one that has, smooth edges. I couldn't find that for some reason in the drawer. I must have tucked it away with some Valentine things. I don't know. I'm getting a lot better about finding things, but this one has sort of a rippled edge, and it actually turns out pretty nice. You don't need a paper punch like this. You can just cut a heart shape, and because it's going to be very simple. But let's go ahead and get started with that. Thin papers like doilies need something else behind them, so let me pull out maybe a double book page here and slip that behind this little pink doily. It suddenly got very warm out today, so we turned on the air conditioning. So I'm sorry, you're going to hear a little bit of that in the background. It'll kick off again shortly. And let me slide this in. Doilies have so many little edges that will catch on things, but that's going to give us a nice lacy kind of look. But again, you could very easily maybe make a little template out of a piece of cardstock and draw around that, so you don't need a punch. I just am using it because I happen to have one. So that's going to come out nicely. Or is it? Let me look and see. I don't really like this edge here. I wonder if I might try it again. Kind of getting up more, having the top part, because the top of the heart is going to be the bodice and my little dress embellishment. Let me see how that's gonna work. Maybe if I try it, just rip part of this. And I'm going to be trimming off the bottom part anyway, so if I don't punch all the way to the bottom part of the of the heart, that's going to be okay. There we go. I think that's going to be all right. There we go. Yeah, I like, yeah, my mistake, I like having all this lacy part for that bodice, but also I have this, this uneven edge here. So that was a tactical error in the first place. All right. We'll probably save that for something else. So that's going to be the bodice of our little dress, but we're going to cut off just a little bit off of those edges. And what I've been doing in my practice pieces is I've been putting them in half like this, but not creasing that fold. And I'm going to cut just a little bit off this side of the heart. Not very much. Start small. Start with a smaller slice because you can always cut more off. But that's going to be the side of the bodice. I think I want it angled in just a little bit more. So there's a little bit more of a nipped in waist. So we'll see how that works. And I have plenty of these doilies, so I can do more. Yeah, that's going to be a nice little bodice. Now let's fold this for the skirt, and then we'll glue it onto something. Doilies do have a front and a back and they don't look the same, but I'm not going to worry about that too much. Am I out of, there we go. When I was cleaning my desk, I was moving a lot of things around, so I might not be quite as centrally oriented with my camera angle as I sometimes am. But I'm also wildly off angle too, so I'm just going to fold the back pieces down to try to make a somewhat symmetrical skirt. Well, maybe something like that. And nope, but you know what I'm going to have to do? You can tell I only practiced this a couple of times. I'm going to mark a little bit about where I want the join to be. I'm going to mark on either side of my little bodice here. And this is going to be where I'm going to fold out. So I can make that angle go out just like she's doing and having a really nice little dancing dress. And there's that mark. Fold out that way. Yeah, that worked out better. Okay, that's going to be a process improvement on my part. Here I was telling you how easy this was going to be, and then I make it more difficult for myself than I need to. But all I'm going to do is to glue those two down like that, and we're going to have a nice little dress. We can embellish it a little bit, and it'll be great. Let's see, color contrast is really important on this, and I think I'll have a nice color contrast putting using this as a journal card. It could be lovely as a topper on a journal as well. I don't have this backed, you know, you could just write on this, but it's a little bit thin. So let me go ahead and cut this down to, this is a piece of sort of like handmade paper. How wide is that going to be? About 4.5. Yeah, I could have a journal card that's 4.5 inches wide. That'll do. So let me cut that down to about the right size. Pull this down to a 1/2 inch there. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we'll just cut this piece down. Yeah, I did, this was this sort of handmade style paper that came in was it a journal or maybe a photo album that I got at at a thrift store, I'm sure. And I just did a little spattering on it, but the spattering went a little bit gloppy here, but you know what? It's not going to matter because I'm going to be gluing something over it. I'm liking that. Now, one thing I didn't like quite so much about the prototype that I made is that I did ink the edges, and to me, I feel like this might be something I don't want to ink the edges on, or if I do ink the edges, maybe to do it in a less of a grungy way. So I think I'll not do that. And let's glue the skirt down first. We've got several layers here, so I'm going to want to pop a little bit of glue underneath there. Doilies are famously fussy for gluing down, because they have so many blank spaces, but I think you'll find with this one, there's going to be enough area there that you can find a way to grab, places for the glue to grab. There's that. I do recommend doing some practice pieces here too. And this is, if I had cut the whole thing, you know, I could have just trimmed it off, but this sort of came out sort of self-trimmed. Just kind of clean that up a little bit. And that bodice is just going to glue right on top there. Again, very thin paper, so I am using art glitter glue just so I can dab it into these small spaces. But I'm trying to use a light hand with it because I don't want that moisture from the glue to make my paper my doily really warped. And I put some ribbon on as a waistband. That doesn't exactly match up, does it? Can I do some trimming with my X-Acto knife? I think before I get into that, I think I'm just going to cover up the little bit of messy part here, maybe with some washi tape or with a piece of ribbon. So let's go into the washi tape and see what we have here that could work. You know what? That little teal color isn't bad. I think I might be okay with that. I'll trim around the edges, and I will put some glue down first, because we don't trust washi tape, don't we? It's not being, or we don't trust washi tape, do we? Might as well speak properly. There we go. I never would have guessed that a little piece of teal washi tape would be cute, but it looks like a little party dress. And I'm going to come in very, very lightly. With my X-Acto knife and peel up that little bit of washi tape. A little piece of ribbon would be super cute as well. And then that's going to cover up that slight mismatch. Despite my fiddling with this, I hope you can really see how easy this is. It's nice to have a few little embellishments around, and I'm going to put one on the bodice here. Oh, that's cute. It'd be nice if I had some kind of a teal colored piece of bling that I could put there. I'm looking over here. and I don't see anything teal. I'm looking through my different little adhesives. So why don't I just go with a pearl? That might be nice. Just have a pearl that has a little bit of adhesive on the back. And how cute would that be? This would be so pretty as a journal topper. You know, you could stamp some flowers, you know, put a little music or something around, but I think this is cute. And there's lots of places that I could use this. And I think that it could pick up the theme of the sewing journal really nicely. Let's move on to using our tissue paper. And for this, let me put my art glitter glue stopper back in. For this, I think I would like to make the one same as one very similar to the one that I showed you. And I took, this is a tissue paper. It's kind of a, it's a pretty sturdy tissue paper. It's not really, really thin. And I don't know if you kind of get an idea of how thin it's you know, it's not even really all that translucent. Although as soon as I say that, you can see that I put this on, I put one sheet on a book page, and there is something that's coming through those blank areas. So there's a little bit of translucence there. I'd like to use this that I reinforced with the book page as the bodice, and then we're going to do a pleating of the skirt. So let's, let me punch out the heart for the bodice initially. And what colors do we want to grab there? I think I'd like to get a little bit of that red and a little touch of purple there, going through 2 layers. That's going to be nice. And let's trim off the side of that heart to kind of form that little bodice. Again, not too much, because as you saw me do the first time, I went back in and trimmed off some more. Yeah, that's a decent proportion. What kind of background? I had some of these offcuts. Oh, that could be nice. Yeah, that could stand out well. I don't think I want that. This one, a little bit of a greener tone. I think this first one is, yeah, I think that's good. I think that's going to be fine. Maybe I'll go like that, so it's on the plainer portion, and then have this at the bottom. I think I'm going to ink the edges. This is walnut stain distress ink, and that's not going to make a whole lot of difference. Maybe on this side. Does that pop a little bit more? Maybe just a touch. Maybe I'm just pretending. I don't know. I'm going to cut a bit out of this to form the skirt, and I don't want to get a partial bird there, so let me come in. I have a lot of this tissue paper, so I don't need to be too precious with it. And I don't need to be too precise. Maybe a piece about like that. We'll see how that works when I do the pleating. That ought to work. Yeah, I'm really surprised that I have to have the air conditioner on in my house today, because we've been solidly into fall, and then all of a sudden we get a 90-degree day. So you know, we're keeping ourselves comfortable. All right, now when I did this one before, I will tell you, I did a few experiments when I tried to use tissue paper where I sort of gathered gathered the tissue paper up. And here, in fact, here's an example. I was making one out of a pattern piece, and I may still do some like that, or out of pattern pieces. But I did just a little bit of gathering, you know, putting a basting stitch through, and then, you know, thinking I could, you know, I could glue, you know, paste that whole thing down and just sort of smashed it. It just looked messy. It just, I wasn't happy at all with how it looked. I liked much better the pleating that I did in this version. So let me kind of push that aside, and there we go. And I'm just going to make a series of pleats. I just kind of, you know, pinched this and brought it down a little bit like this. I wish I had a better way to really explain it, but maybe just showing it. Don't worry too much about it being, tuck a little bit behind and make that next pleat. Don't worry about it being even, because we're going to kind of change it up anyway, as you'll see in a moment. But the thing is, it is going to be flat and tidy. So I'm picking this piece up, kind of bringing my ring fingers down here and pushing back just a little bit so that we have a bit of a pleat. And so I'm getting close to the end. All right, now you can see that this is going to be too wide to be the waistband of this dress, but I'm going to sort of manipulate it, moving the top part in a little bit more and re-smoothing that crease like that. Again, moving it in. And recreasing. So there's going to be a bit of flare of the skirt. Just kind of move that in a little bit and just play with that paper, but smooth it down. And some of the, you know, some of the creases are going to be in different places. Many of them are, but it's not, if you have a pattern in your paper, it's not going to show that much. And this should come out about the width of the waist of this gown. I think I'm going to be okay with that. I might fold this under just a little bit. And maybe pull this out. Again, I have no measurements to share with you. I have, you know, it's like making the perfect sauce, you know, you just kind of play with it, you know, until it's done. And I think that's going to be okay. Maybe move it in just a little bit more. There we go. And I'm just going to bring in my art glitter glue. And again, it's going to look a little bit messy here, but I'm going to be fine with that because I'm going to be covering up the messy part. I might coax this and perhaps put just a little bit of glue along the top, knowing that this is thin paper and I don't want a whole lot of glue there. Adding its moisture to the warpiness of the whole thing. And trust yourself, you know how to play with paper. There we go. So this way, you know, the pleats are there, but it's not all, you know, bunched and crumpled the way my tissue paper was that I showed you that I did when I was first beginning. There are so many. I mean, if you go do a search on Pinterest or any place else for origami dresses, folded paper dresses, you will see there's one that's done out of rectangles that many people are doing. And I tried that one and it just kind of wasn't for me. So I just sort of hit on this idea of using the punch, the heart-shaped punch to make the bodice, and then just folding the doily, folding the tissue paper to make the skirt. I'm going to put the bodice in place now, but this is one case where now that I have it in place, I think I don't want to cut it off. I don't want to put on a waistband. The way the paper hits is going to be different every time. But I kind of like the bottom of the heart there, making a little bit of a basque bodice waistline. And I think I'm just going to use that. So we'll put this down, and then I'm going to trim off the skirt because the hem's a little bit long. There we go. The bodice is just a little bit wider than the top of the skirt, or than the waistband of the skirt, but I think I'm okay with that too. Let me do just a little bit of a trim here. If I was making a tea gown as a dressmaker, I would do a much more careful job there. Now I'm going to glue again just a little bit. If this is a card, it's going to be going, in and out of pockets, so we don't want a whole lot of loose paper flopping about. But we'll just put a little touch down. Little touch of glue to put that paper, give it a secure place to be. And just a little bit there. Not a big glob, just a little dribble, and that'll dry quickly. I do believe I want maybe a little gold there. I did have some gold sequins here somewhere. Now I'm not seeing them, so I'll pull out this little bit of bling. And that's pretty. I could do some stamping. I could make this a side tuck or a pocket. I could trim it down a little bit more. But you can see where I'm going with that. I just, I was really happy that, I could devise something that was really easy to do. I started to tell you those, the folded paper dresses that you will find all over the craft sites. I tried those, and they didn't work that well for me. I hope you have better luck. Please try them. Please try them. But for me, I just had a hard time getting getting all of the folds in the proper place, and people were using like lightweight scrapbook paper, but there was so many thicknesses there that it just didn't work out well for me. And so I don't want to beat myself up using a technique that maybe is just not going to be something to my taste. Not everything is going to work, but these I thought did. And let me round the corners here, and I will have a nice little extra journaling card. I could put some stitching around the edge if I wanted to. And this could be, this could be in a party journal. This could, doesn't have to be in a sewing sort of thing. It could be in a lovely sort of eclectic journal. Maybe it's a book journal where you're writing about wonderful reading that you've done, and maybe you want to write about the Gilded Age or something like that. You're including the Age of Innocence in your Edith Wharton novel. There we go. That is pretty. I really like that. I think I'm going to enjoy using that in my sewing journal. I'm actually making several of them right now, so I think we'll probably wrap that up, and let me know if you like this. We'll talk to you soon, guys. Thank you so much.